Hi guys, today we're going to react to The Tale of Jenny and Screech by REN. We're going to react to the full trilogy in its entirety.
It was a quiet, dark night in an empty street somewhere in London City. Jenny walked alone, she was dragging her feet. She was heading back home to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, because she walked it about 1,000 times before she wanted to escape. Can you blame? Well, on the very same night, in a different place, there walked this hooded young youth by the name of James. He was 14 years old and out of his brain. He'd been smoking ganja with the boys. James, he grew up to be a kid of the street. His mates called him Screech. He was quick on his feet. He was a liar, a thief. At 14 years old, the devil had set his sights on his soul. As Jenny walked home all alone, she felt scared. Usually she was alright, but it was like there was something in the air. A divine intervention telling her to beware, maybe intuition bugging her and making her so scared. Sirens sound in the distance at the beat of Jenny's feet. A symphony of the night that echoes crime on London streets. Jenny turns a corner, their eyes they meet. Our poor girl Jenny, a boy named Screech. Give me all your money, bitch, give it to me. If you cooperate, then you'll soon be free. I want your purse, your phone, don't fucking look at me. I mean it, bitch, are you listening to me? Jenny freezes statue like a lady shakes stalactite. Feel like liquid nitrogen in the dark night. She tried to find strength to move, but stayed as still as a statue in high-heeled shoes. What the hell you playing at? You playing games with me? I swear to fucking God, I'll slice the rosy off your cheek.
I love the structure of this song. He's a storyteller. It's like looking at a movie.
I like that, the storyteller persona, I guess, that he takes on here. It's a little bit different to the other ones. It is like kind of like watching a movie or a play. And I even like all the little sounds that come with it that make it seem like this is on stage, like he leans against the wall and you can hear it, because it was like a wooden plaque sort of thing. And then he coughs, clearing his voice after doing that sort of trumpet type of sound in the beginning. And when he's singing, it's beautiful. And the rest of the time, he's kind of talking, rapping, and telling the story. And because he changes things around so much, I think it helps to suck you in even more. And yeah, I'm just right into the story. It doesn't feel like this one, like the ones we've covered before, has this kind of like subtext to it. It's more telling you about the story, about these characters and what happened to them, which is kind of captivating.
Yeah, it feels displaced of what we know of REN so far. I think if we reacted to this song first, even though we're only 2 minutes in, we would have been interestingly surprised by his other two songs that we reacted to, with all the dark elements and his past.
It's almost and vice versa, because I'm kind of a little bit surprised because I expected something thematically similar, I guess, to the first two we covered.
I was too,
But it's like just as good. And as renegades, the REN fans have already commented on a lot of the stuff. They said that every time he does something different, it could be a different musical genre. It can be completely left of field kind of thing. And it's not completely left of field to the other two, but it is very different. And so far I'm loving it.
Yeah. And also I love that he's talking about a street at nighttime and he's playing in a street, some sort of a narrow street or an alley. At nighttime, you can get whatever fear factor is in Jenny's surroundings as she walks down the street because the locations match.
And I get the feeling that it's not said enough, but I really love his voice. When he is singing, it's fantastic. I just really, really like it.
Yeah,
just really pleasant to my ear. All these different sounds that he makes when he's not rapping, talking. I like his rap as well, but his singing is surprisingly good. Generally the ones who have a good voice for singing, they don't try to rap. But he's like this kind of like a musical Swiss Army knife, if you will.
He's a singer, rapper, slash beatbox,
storyteller. Very cool.
Yeah, indeed.
I swear to fucking God, I'll slice the rosy off your cheeks. You think I don't mean it, girl? You don't know me. The last thing you see will be a boy code. Screech reached with the sheath of the blade, with the teeth that could bite through steel and slice concrete. And he swung possessed with the devil in his chest, and the statue she was turned to butter in her breath. It was a quiet, dark night in an empty street somewhere in London City. Jenny lay still on the cold concrete. She's found somewhere to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, 'cause she'd walked it about 1,000 times before. I guess that she escaped. It's such a shame.
So the tale ends with Screech murdering Jenny in cold blood in a dark alley because he just wanted to rob her.
Yeah, a tragedy that probably is fairly commonplace, in certain places in the world. It's funny because he has this entertaining element, to him, and you kind of can't help but sort of smile at some things that he does. And then all of a sudden he hits you with this like dark subject matter, and the tragedy of it all. And you kind of catch yourself smiling when you shouldn't be. You know what I mean? It's It's so kind of a sad ending.
And he constructed it as you said, there's a dissonance between the rhythm and the progression of the music and the subject matter. The subject matter is dark, and the music is kind of ambiguous on how it makes you feel conceptually. It doesn't match.
Yeah.
And also because the song is fairly long, there's the entirety of the trilogy, the Jenny and Screech part feels like an exposition.
Yeah, like the start of the
it's not over.
story. And it also feels like Ren is sort of acting the part of the narrator. He's like outside of the story. He's not part of it. Where in the first two songs that we covered, it was very personal. It was all about, from him, from the inside. And here he's like from the outside, which is very interesting.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm kind of looking forward to the next two.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Jenny's tale. And now we're going to play Screech's tale.
Our story, it starts right at the end. At the life of poor Jenny, clocked out like Big Ben. Dear Screech, dear boy, where did he go? He melted into the black night just like snow. Patrick, man, let me in, please open the door. I think I fucked up, Patrick, really fucked up, man, I'm not sure. I got crazy, left this lady lying still on the floor. I think I killed her, Patrick, come on, man, I can't knock no more. But Screech kept on knocking till his knuckles became sore. But there's no sign of Patrick down at number 54. No refuge for our villain, for the bitter hands of fate, with something far more sinister in mind that does away. Hey, babe, are you in? No, nothing really, I'm just a bit tired, listen. Can I swing around yours for a few moments? I just really miss you, babe. What the fuck do you mean you're busy? You fucking bitch, for fuck's sakes!
Well, the tale continues, and I've noticed it before, I just didn't say it out loud. It's not just the music and his singing and rapping, all the sounds come from him, and the street around him is dead quiet, which is fairly unusual. You'd expect to listen to background people in the street, but all the sounds come from him, from his movements, from his clothes, and from his breath even, and whatever sounds that he makes, but he makes all the sounds. I think it adds a lot to the experience. I think the collide between the music video, but the presentation and the song itself puts you there, puts you like in this limbo in the street that is detached from the world. And I think it's something magical about it.
I think it helps you focus on the story, you know, on what he's telling us. And there's something that we haven't quite talked about before, because in general, you know, we come from filmmaking. To us, it's kind of like a gimmick, which is, you know, the one take, doing everything in one take. But the thing with Ren is the one thing that I keep thinking about that, I mean, he's doing here, it's each section in one take, although it picks up exactly where the previous story left off. You know, he's sitting on the stairs. It just started from there. He has to like remember massive amounts of text. I mean, I know it's his songs and he you know, he wrote them and everything, but it's a lot. It's amazing how he does it. It's like he's in his element, and that's what it looks like to me. Like it's so natural to him. He is this kind of storyteller, musical genius kind of thing, you know. His guitar playing is beautiful. It's also captivating. The way he tells a story, sometimes even just hearing him talk has, you know, something to that. I don't know, something about this guy. He's really, really excellent. I just really love everything he does so far.
Yeah, I do too. I think there's something to be said about an artist, whatever person who excels himself in what he loves, an artist who you get to see him when he performs. People tend to look at these high-skilled people and be impressed by what they do on the day. What you're actually saying is we can see the hundreds of hours that he invested in honing his and perfecting his craft. To be able, I don't think it was hard for him to remember all those lines and to perform his song. I think he breathes his work. That's why
he lives it. This is him living, you know. Like I said, it's just he's in his element. It's like oxygen to him. That's what it looks like. Definitely an artist.
Yep.
I just really miss you, babe. What the fuck do you mean you're busy? You fucking bitch! For fuck's sakes! Siren sounds approaching like a banshee in the night. The shrill cry of justice cutting like the sharpest knife. But Screech was never one to run, not one to miss a fight. One hand upon his blade, he turned to face the blue lights. Come on then, you fucking cunts, let's fucking have you then. I am Screech, I'm the boss, I'm the ender of men. You think that uniform you're wearing means that you own these streets? These are my fucking streets, and they call me fucking Screech. Richard was an officer who stood at 6'3", working London on the night shift. What he didn't think he'd see was a boy running at him like an animal possessed. With no time to hesitate, he fired 4 bullets at Screech's chest. Our story, it ends right at the start. Young Screech and poor Jenny lying one street apart. An officer shaken by the boy that he claimed. 2 bodies lay lifeless, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame.
Beautiful. We talked about the fact that the street is empty and vacant. It looks like there's nobody there. But Ren and the way that he screams during the second section, it feels like he's singing a song in the Twilight Zone. Nobody's there. Nobody's there in the world, not just the street. It gives it some sort of fantastic landscape, like he's in a different dimension. And I love it. I love it about this song.
That's what I was referring to earlier when I said he's like the narrator. He's not actually like a character in the street. He's sort of outside of it, even though he appears in it.
Yeah.
It's like he is sort of outside the reality, talking about the reality, which is Very cool. I love that. I guess you could say it's definitely like a filmmaking aspect to it. Certain things that he does, like the tilting when he was shot and dropped, and yeah, just a tragic story, you know, that we've all heard before in different sort of situations. But there's something about the way he tells the story, the way he sort of weaves the tale. It's just very, I don't even know if to say, like, it's not really like enjoyable, you know what I mean? It's sad, it's tragic, it makes you feel, which is really what, you know, being an artist is all about. And he's just got this talent of connecting with people, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the third time we are seeing him, and like already like a huge fan. I want us to get to more of his stuff because it's just so good, so intriguing, so interesting, and it makes you think and it makes you feel. So yeah, so he's well ahead of many other artists in that
Yeah,
respect.
indeed. It's like a good writer. He writes what he knows. He opens a window and he lets you in his world. Actually, I assume that's the surroundings where he's what he's talking about, and what we're seeing. That's where he came from. That's where he lived. That's his natural surroundings. And the tragedy in the story, he lets you in on an example of something terrible that's happened. And I don't know if he portrays it as something that is fairly common in those places, or that's what he wants to tell you, so you'd feel a certain way. But as a whole, it's very interesting to be a part of his world in that specific way.
I think it's the world that he came from. And
Yeah.
he, like you said, he kind of opens up a door and lets us in to kind of see a little bit more about him. And even though these stories are not exactly about Ren, they're about people he may have known or people who were somehow, you know, living in the same world that he was living in. I mean, the guy was a busker. He was busking on the streets. So
Yeah.
he must have met people and seen things.
Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes, like, especially the way that he ended the song, you know, with a little bit of a finish on the guitar and you know, that singing that it's just a shame kind of thing, felt improvised. And
Yeah.
I was watching it and I'm like, that's really cool, but I doubt that any of it is improvised. I think he's well calculated. He is really intelligent. You can feel that through his writing, through the way he performs, through his music, through everything.
Yeah.
With every song we do, I'm becoming a bigger fan of this guy.
Yeah, as am I, as am I.
Amazing.
And also, by telling us such a tragic story, you can imagine his life in those streets and what he sees. Instead of interpreting it in a certain way or letting it burden him into the darkness of seeing the world as such a grim place, he's actually turning it into something beautiful. So if there was a Jenny who died by the hands of Screech, then you can say to some extent, as a fan of Ren, something good came out of it. There's this art piece, there's this song that is sung in her name.
And the Screech that died by the hand of the police.
And the Screech that died by the hand of. I looked at the poorest victim in this entire story.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, they're all victims. I think that's kind of how he kind of sets it up. It's just I don't know how he does it. I feel like every time we watch him, like he pulls me into his world. I think so far every song that we covered of his feels like a therapy session. It's Ren's therapy.
Yeah,
you know, this is how he deals with things. This is how he keeps his sanity.
It kind of reminds me of 1998's There's Something About Mary. There's a narrator in that film that every few segments he plays the guitar with a small band, and he's telling the story so far, or projecting what's going to be, and it's all done in a comedic vein. And you get something different here. There's still a dissonance between the type of music that you're listening to and the subject matter, but it took me back to that little gimmick in that film, which is something that you saw it once, you never forget it.
It's a trope that's been used in cinema quite a bit. Like you said, in There's Something About Mary, it's like a comedic thing, and it adds that sort of lighthearted. I think here it's not comedic, but it is entertaining, which creates this kind of like a dissonance between what we're seeing and how we're feeling some of the way through, and then he hits us with the cold hard fact of what happened, of the violence, of the tragedy, of the sadness, and it also moves something in us. So it's all like this kind of a roller coaster. So he's definitely a puppet master. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's pulling our strings, and it works beautifully.
So this was Screech's tale, and now we're up to the final part, which is Violet's tale. Here we go.
London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. Rhythmic beats and bloodstains, she saw a lady weep, she's tired and frail. To set the scene, we must rewind the hands of time for Violet's tale. Violet was a silent girl, grew up with violent starts. Her mother was a drinker and her father was a bastard. Every night he took her tie but never left the room. I'll spare you with the things he did, I'm sure her mother knew. Violet was a silent girl, she moved out at 16. A semi-detached council flat, paid for by a welfare scheme. Packing shelves at Tesco, stacking jars like pickled bricks. She met a boy named Stevie and he was a little prick. Violet was a silent girl and Violet she fell fast. See, Stevie was a wrong un, but he sure knew how to charm her. Every night he took her tie but never left the room. History repeats itself, he'd paint her black and blue and dark. She never stood a chance. The devil comes to dance. Violet, why are you always so quiet? On her bedroom door and he's irate. He's been drinking and smoking, he's up late. And he stands by her bedside, she shakes, but her eyes stay shut. You fucking slut, I know you're up. And he pinches her eyelids and folds them up. Violet, why are you lying to me, Violet? She stays silent, things turn violent. That's the sound of his fists when they fall like a crashing pilot. Hit like hailstones, one to the collarbone, full force, full blown, blood's black bone crack, knick knack, paddywhack, one to the jaw when the tooth spat, detached fist connects and disconnects a bone. A quick deflect to misdirect the blow, but nonetheless his punches met her throat. Such a mess he's left her bruised and broke. Violet, why you always so silent, Violet? Why you such a little liar, Violet? Do you think I wanna do this, Violet? In character, she stays silent. Well, say something, Violet. Silence. Fucking say something, Violet. Silence. Wait. Say something, Violet.
I don't even know where to begin. I thought he's superimposing his voice in the studio. He's not doing that. His voice changed when he went into the corridor. I know I should begin from that part, from the part where his voice, but he utilizes all the things at his disposal. It kind of reminds me of Edgar Wright, the director. He uses everything to create comedy. He uses everything. He uses the acoustics, the poor acoustics in the stairwell to amplify his voice. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, being done like that. Sorry.
That's what I meant before. Sorry, when I said that it seems like he improvises things, but no, everything is calculated.
Everything is
amazing. Yeah,
it's kind of raw, but even the gaffer markings on the floor where he was supposed to go to the end of the hallway, they were marked. He was supposed to go there, and he utilizes his guitar. He wants to start to tell a story from way back when. So he goes back in the accords. The chords go higher. Now we're in a different time. This is what happened to Violet. This is how I'm going to connect you to the story. He is a masterful storyteller. He knows how to weave emotions with not just his music, but his storytelling and his voice and everything he puts into it. Everything that you're seeing is highly calculated, and it doesn't look like that. It looks like he's winging it all.
All the things that I said in the previous one stand true in this part as well. You know, he just keeps doing what he's doing, and he does it so freaking well. And he creates drama and tension in the way he tells the story. You know, it's like Stevie beats on her, and you know, and then he tries to get her to respond, and she's not responding, and it's like, we know that she's probably dead. And it's just the way that he says it. You know, it's like not one word. She stays quiet, dead or unconscious or whatever. and it's I mean, I assume because she's in a hospital later, so she's probably like in a coma or something. But it's just so dark, and he does it the way he does it, and you can tell like he really gets into it. He's also really passionate, and he just can't help but be swept along with him in his stories and his songs, and it's just it's so dark and tragic and so beautiful at the same time, you know.
Yeah. He mastered the skill to convey his world to you, whether you like it or not. Even if you don't want to be a part of this grim world, you're in it. You now have a piece of what it's like to be in his world.
It feels like an artist who has been held back by many different things, you know. I mean, we know issues with his health and misdiagnosing and psychological and all the rest of it. He's been held back for so long that he's now just exploding, you know, with creativity, with muse, with you know, everything. He's just like all of these skills and talents that he has are coming on at the same time. It's just like, you know, it's beautiful to see, beautiful to witness.
This kind of restores my hope in mankind, just to see that he has a fairly vast following, that people recognize that he's not just another artist, he's a genius. As I said before, he makes it look so easy and improvised and off the cuff when it's anything but. Coming from film, you know, we can see the strings, we can see all what it must have taken to pull this off. Not an easy feat.
And everything, like you said, you know, him using everything around him. He uses his own, like his voice and the guitar and his body and his surrounding, and everything is a tool at his disposal, you know, that he uses in one way or another. And it's just, like I said, it's ingenuity as well, you know. It's like you go, he's so creative. It's just, just beautiful.
Wait. Say something, Violet. Not one word. She stays quiet. London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. The doctor, in a state of shock, saw something here so very wrong. See, Violet, she was pregnant. Poor Violet, she was 9 months gone. Turning to the doctor, Violet broke her silence and she cried, "If I'm to die right here tonight, please let my baby stay alive." The doctor soon regained composure, called the surgeon to come in. As Violet's world turned to black, the curtains closed, the lights went dim. In London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington just lost the fight to stay alive. A tragedy or a miracle, it happened on these very streets. Two twins are lying side by side. A girl named Jenny and a boy named Screech.
Hit.
What a twist. As soon as he said that she was pregnant, I knew the ending, and it was like, wow.
They were twins.
They were twins. So he killed his sister. It's just it was already tragic.
Yeah.
And then it just like added to this tragedy, this like very, very heavy tragedy. It's like the mother who died as a result of abuse. She was born into abuse with her father, and you know, in a drunken mother, and then ended up with a boyfriend who beat on her so much that she ended up in a hospital. She was pregnant. She died while giving birth to two kids who were given away to
foster care,
to adoption or whatever, and like they grew apart, and in the end he ends up stabbing his sister in the street and getting shot by the police. So all of them died. Like basically saying they never had a chance.
Yeah, that family is having a rough few decades.
I have to say, like when I realized what the twist was, 30 seconds before the end. The sense of tragedy and despair was amplified so much. It was just like, wow. Can't help but be impressed with what he does here.
He deliberately doesn't offer you any solace. The twist is supposed to tear your heart out.
And he does.
He leaves you like an open wound. This is something from my world, and this is the level of tragedy I want you to become familiar with if you are to be familiar with my work. To me, like that's like the message. He leaves you hanging.
And there is like a little bit of something kind of behind it all, like saying they never had a chance. That it's saying coming from the background that they come from and having survived this tough birth,
Yeah.
And the mother dying at birth, and then going into foster homes or adoption or whatever, and growing through that, and they grew differently.
Yeah.
I mean, at first, when he said Jenny was a woman like who knew the streets, I was thinking potentially that she was some kind of a prostitute or something like that, but maybe she wasn't. Maybe she actually just sort of grew up to have a kind of decent life just in kind of a seedy part of London, and Screech grew into this world of crime, I guess. With the wrong kind of crowd. So it didn't matter what crowd they grew up into, because it was different for the two of them. It didn't matter. They both ended up dead. The backdrop of the whole thing, which is another character in this whole story, is London.
Yep.
He kept repeating that line, London,
Streets.
2005. I assume it's the postcode. And just wow.
There's an element in there where he unveils it all to say that there's a sort of disparity. What you like to romanticize in your head when you think about stories like that, kids that came from a broken home, somebody would find them, somebody would be their guiding light. No, he's giving you an ice cold drink of reality. This is not the case. The sheer fact that you have to experience all those hardships might not make you equipped enough with getting out of it. So it's either sheer luck or a combination of circumstances that allow people to make proper choices. At one point, he mentions Screech's age. It was 14 years old. So a 14-year-old kid murdered a 14-year-old girl who was his sister that he didn't know existed. Add to that tragedy. It makes you think about if that event might have been circumvented by, I don't know, a miracle or divine circumstances, then these kids could have still been saved. All they needed was somebody or something to guide them.
A lucky break.
A lucky break to equip them better in making better choices. And 14 is nothing.
But that would have been a different story to tell. Because this one, the hopelessness is a big part of this story and the way he tells it, and that's what he wanted to tell. It's so impactful. It's like you hear it, it hits you like all the way along, and then it hits you even harder at the end. And that's an amazing skill. And us, as filmmakers, we've talked about this many times, even when we made certain films in the past, we talked about it, how you have to kind of build this kind of tension when you tell a story. You kind of have to toy with the audience a little bit, sort of put them in a state of sort of comfort where they think they know what level of sadness, of trauma, or whatever is going on in the story they're on, and then at the end hit them, no, this is much, much worse. The fact that they were brother and sister is a massive additional element to this strategy. Just like I said before, it amplifies it by however many times. It's just crazy good, this whole thing, and not good that it's a positive. It's a negative story. It's very sad. It's just
the punch hits right. That's what you mean by good.
Again, it's REN, he's very, very good at what he does, and it's just I think we come to appreciate it more with every time we see him.
I can't help but think that in this song there's some sort of call to action, as REN saying to people listening to it, maybe people who just appreciate his music, to look at the children, look at the way they are being brought up, and maybe help them somehow.
He does shine a light on a specific situation, I guess, yeah. But again, it just kind of takes me back to something that I said before. He is a friggin' puppet master. He is pulling these strings. He's toying with us, in the best of ways, because you know that you're being played with, kind of, in a way, that he's moving you in exactly the way that he wants to get you to the end of the thing, and he gets the exact result that he wanted to and whatever, but he just still somehow feels so good to experience. Just fantastic. He is really something else.
Performance-wise and musically, he's like the MacGyver of artists. Like you said, he uses anything and everything at his disposal. John Lennon once said, "I'm an artist. You give me a tuba, I'll get you something out of it. So I think that the same applies to Ren. Ren just finds ways to get you something out of everything at his disposal. I think he gave us more than what we've noticed first time listening and viewing. I think there's more in there that we might have missed because there's so much in it, and at the same time it's simplified. All the sounds come from him.
Yeah, it's all very, very planned and thought through at how simple the song is. You know, the song is very simple. Tells it, you know, just by playing the guitar. The music itself, it's not too complex, if you know what I mean. And everything about it is planned. It puts us in this kind of like a comfort zone, like I said, even though we're in a very, very dark tale, just to get us to the end and just break us, you know, there. And he does it fantastically. I think we made a right decision by doing the 3 songs together. I think if you do them separately, it doesn't do it justice. Yeah, because the trilogy is greater than the sum of its parts.
Yes.
Yeah, if you just look at Jenny's Tale as a song and react to it, it's not the same.
Yeah.
You know, you need to get to the end and you need to have all these stories together. And we're lucky that we did it this way.
Yeah,
because,
wise decision.
wow, the impact far greater, I think.
Yeah, the impact is greater because we needed to preserve the level of energy and comprehension that we carried from each song to each song. We would have missed that had we not done it altogether.
This is a borderline masterpiece, I think. And again, not just in the content, in the way he did it, the way he plays with us, the way he gets to this. It was all about the payoff, really. I mean, you know, it was about that twist at the end. This is where he wanted to take us and just blow us away. And he did that. That was fantastic. Just amazing.
Yeah, he's equally masterful in the subject matter and in the form in which he portrays his, in which he tells his stories. And it's amazing to see how he weaves it all together.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful.
Amazing. If you enjoyed this episode, guys, come on. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click the little bell icon so you get notified on all our future videos. If you have a request you'd like bumped up the line, please make it through Buy Me a Coffee. All contributions are, of course, very much appreciated. Thank you all for sticking with us. Thank you all for your time. That chorus element in the voice, that it carries with it the pain that is in here. You can't.
It goes back to all like different kinds of singers, you know, like Janis Joplin and Billie Holiday even, you know, and Bessie Smith and all, you know, like you said, Aretha Franklin, you know, from that kind of generation where all that pain is out there, you know, even like a Tina Turner. It's just, wow.
Yeah, it gets under your skin very quickly.
One thing's for sure, we enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
This was amazing. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you more than you know. Again, without you, there would be no show. So please keep coming back, share our stuff, get it out there, help us grow. And we'll be back in a couple of days with a new episode. And we hope to see you here. Till then, bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks a lot.